John Maynard Keynes, the guy whose ridiculous government spending or his suggestions of that led to massively extending the Great Depression, and especially in the U.S. But, it says here from Murray Rothbard, there is one good thing about Marx. He was not a Keynesian. Keynesians believe in government spending, massive amounts of government spending, all the time. Although some economists say that Keynes himself wasn't quite as bad as the people who follow him. I think Thomas Sowell said that in the past as well. Milton Friedman said similar things before, because Keynes mostly believed in spending vast sums of money during recessions, but he failed to understand that the government is often the ones that cause the bubble in the first place, and then that bubble eventually pops. Then the government spends a bunch of money, which creates a new bubble, and then we start the cycle all over again. But here's a little video of Milton Friedman talking about Keynes and how he was, that right there, as you can see in the text. It says here, Keynes was an elitist. He believed that there was a group of able, public-spirited intellectuals who should be given charge of society. Well, and that sort of thing has always seemed to continuously be a problem. The only system that really worked well is where you and I and our neighbor can pursue their own positive self-interest. If people become the best version of themselves, it seems to benefit society in many ways.
Now, I believe Keynes was a great man. He was a great economist. But I think his theory is wrong.
And his theory is basically stated is?
Basically stated, the fundamental element of it is that what matters is spending. And what matters in particular is government spending. And that government must play a major role in guiding the society. He was a liberal in the 19th century sense, but he was also a believer in, he was also an elitist. And he believed that there was a group of able, public-spirited intellectuals who should be given charge of society. Now, I believe Keynes,
and that's the big problem. And this is the guy. Remember, Keynes believed in eugenics. He didn't just believe in it. He was head of the Eugenicist Society in the UK. Okay, so he believed in eugenics, that all those elitist pricks should be breeding and creating more elitist pricks, and the rest of us are like, nah, let's live our own lives and not have to deal with these weirdos trying to run it for us. So, and then this particular post, Elon Musk says that Keynes was a great evil. At least his ideology was. I don't think the person himself was evil. Keynes was not as evil as a lot of the people in the first half of the 20th century over in Germany. But he was very naive, and he was certainly an elitist prick. It says down here, Keynesian economics is a poison. Thomas Sowell said it best, even if the government spends itself into bankruptcy, Keynesians can always say that it would have worked if only the government had spent more. That's Thomas Sowell. And that's the truth. It doesn't matter. Even after our great recession of 07-08, we had $2 trillion bailouts, one from Bush, one from Obama. They didn't achieve anything, really. We still haven't recovered in the employment participation rate since prior to 07. Did you know that? It's 2026. We're 20 years into this. I'm sure, obviously a few boomers have retired, but that shouldn't really make much of a difference unless they're retiring super early in life, because the employment participation is measuring, working age adults. So it shouldn't really make that much of a difference. But as it says there, Austrian economics is there for the win. And the Austrians understand that it's the government that creates the bubbles and the fake GDP growth through massive government spending that doesn't really benefit the regular person. So Elon Musk is quite critical of Keynes, says they're paying people to dig holes and fill them back up increases GDP as it is currently measured, even though that activity has no value. And that's one of the problems with GDP. And why down below, if you read the bottom of this, it recommends another VAPI, value added by private industries, which would remove government spending from the equation, because including government spending in GDP is like double counting, because the money they're spending is money that was taken from us the last time we created wealth. And then they're spending the money again and claiming that the government created economic growth, when in reality it's theft. It says here, similarly, hiring an extreme number of regulators to vex entrepreneurs nominally increases GDP in the short term, even though it reduces output in the long term. The flaw of Keynesianism is to see all government spending as stimulus, even when it's value destroying. So what he's discussing there is called the broken window fallacy, right? Like you might be able to create some GDP growth by walking around and breaking windows, but overall that's not great. I mean, you could take those same funds and instead of breaking a window, or instead of paying to fix the window, you could pay for something else that's more productive. Like the broken window fallacy is telling us, hey, it's not really that great to just go around and destroy things, right? A lot of people naively believe World War II saved us from the Great Depression, but we were still living quite poorly in World War II. What saved us is the end of the destruction and our ability to start producing new things. The 1950s in America, we might not want to go back and live back then, but still, in comparison to times prior, it was amazing. Like people had appliances, people had indoor plumbing and electricity. Even in the first half of the 20th century, many people still didn't have full access, especially in rural towns, to plumbing and electricity. And then by the 50s, those become ubiquitous, which, meaning everywhere. And they get appliances, and we start reducing the amount of work in the home from like 60 hours a week, crazy amount, mainly because of laundry, down to like 20 hours a week. And life starts improving dramatically. And then after that, women start entering the workforce quite a bit more, which is great. So anyways, leave your comments below, whatever you think, like, share, comment, tell me how I'm wrong. I'm sure a lot of people love doing that. But thanks for watching this far. Have a great day.